So you want to learn more about the new FL24? Don't worry, I got you. Yo, what's good, world? It's your boy TWiZ here, back with another session to help level up your music production game. In today's episode, we're going to start the first lesson of my FL24 series to help you get started on your production journey. Now, if you are new to the music production game, or you just want to try a new DAW, or you've been hearing about the cool things FL24 offers you, I'm going to take you and guide you step by step on how to make this thing really work for you. All right, so the very first step we're going to do is get right into it. We're going to make sure we hit FL Studio. And once you hit FL Studio, you'll see this welcoming window pop open. Now, there's a bunch of different options that you may have here. You have create a chord progression. That's if you have a basic project with the piano, bass, or lead and drums that you just want to play in. You have the default basic 808 with the limiter. This is what I would suggest to use right here because it comes with your default basic things that you would need: kick, snare, hi-hat. All right, clap. You also have audio, which I love. FL Studio is a little bit more in tune with the recording process. It has come a long way. You can use this template right here to get you started. Empty if you want to start your project from nothing, meaning that you want to be in manual control of how you want your session to look. And then also they have like rock here, okay? And that's when you're producing like any plugin, mixer, routing, any color coding, okay? And you have the option to not show this in the future, but being that you never know what kind of project you want to start from, I would suggest just keeping this open. So we're going to double click here on the basic limiter. And if you will look, FL Studio is basically a sequencer. So if you ever used a beat machine or anything to that nature, or rhythm beat maker, this is essentially what FL Studio is. And what makes it powerful is that it has extra parameters on this DAW to be able to not only just produce and create drum patterns and beats, but allow you to record your MIDI data and also record audio for you to complete your songs or your projects. All right. So the very first thing I'm going to introduce you to, if you look in the top left corner, this is called your hint panel. Now, the reason why it's called a hint panel is because if you hover over anything, any parameter here, it's going to tell you what it is that you'll hover over. So in case you forget and you don't feel like rewinding this video, you can make sure you know what this is. And even when you click on this, when you hover over this hint panel, it tells you what it is, hint panel. Now, to kind of test this theory out, I'm going to take you over here to the right a little bit, over to this triangle. Now, this is a universal sign for play, but in case you was living underneath a rock somewhere, if you look in our hint window, it tells us play. If we come over here to the square, this is your stop button. And if you look in our hint window, it tells us stop. Okay. You can also toggle these things by just simply hitting the space bar. Once you hit space bar, you see the play symbol now turns into the symbol where we can pause it. If you hit space bar again, it automatically stops it. Okay. But in case you don't want to hit the space bar, you can literally click on these two buttons right here. Now, if we come over to the third button right here to the right, if you see this red dot, if we look at our hint window, it tells us record, automation, and score. So we're going to make sure this is selected on anytime we want to record anything, whether it's MIDI data, whether it's audio, anything that we may need to record inside of the DAW FL. We're going to make sure we click this button right here. OK, before we get into anything deeper, we're going to take a look right here. This right here is called our song position slider. So when you start to arrange your beats or start getting more in depth to your pattern, this thing will be able to go further along as long as you have it. But if we hit play again, notice that this is going and it's restarting. So right now it's basically in the measurement of our basic standard, a 4 count here, and you see it's restarting. Another thing that is simultaneously going at the same time is here is our step indicator right here. And this lets us know where what step we're on to kind of keep you, a visualized reason of how to understand rhythm. Okay. We're not going to get into that just yet. If you come over here to your right, this right here is very important, especially if you're just getting started in music production. This is called the metronome. This is in every single DAW that you use because creating a drum pattern is the heartbeat of any kind of production. This metronome allows us to know how fast or how slow we need to play our instruments in time. Okay. So right now, by default, it is in 130. If you had any previous versions of FL, it was 140. So they just dropped the BPM down about 10 BPM. So it's okay. Now, when you click on this, right, it's going to allow you to hear a click, right? And the click allows us to tell us how fast or slow this is. So if we hit play right now, okay, you can hear the click in the timing. And if you pay attention to your step indicator, it tells us here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And that's how you count with the metronome. Now, if you hover over the metronome here, notice your icon changes to an up and down arrow. Now, this up and down arrow just lets us know that we are about to change the BPM. If you click and hold the button, the icon will disappear. But that up and down arrow is an indicator to allow us to go up in BPM or down in BPM. All right. So let's say we slow this down. So while I still have this click, we're just going to scroll down and notice as we slow down, the BPM slows down and the metronome slows down. Now you hear it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It slows down. Also, our step indicator slows down too. Now, if I want to speed it up, if this is too slow for you, you want to click this, drag it all the way up. As I increase the BPM, the metronome gets faster as well. Now, this is kind of just like you're on your vehicle, right? It can go a lot faster. I don't understand why it goes this fast. But yeah, it's just to prove a point. Like you're not doing 200 on a dash like that every day. So you're probably not going to really go over 200 like that. I understand why it goes that far. But hey, in case you want to be innovative and create something over that fast, do your thing. All right. So we're going to hit stop on this. All right. Another thing you want to pay attention to is down here in your channel rack. Okay, this is very important because this is where the sequencing happens as far as creating your drum pattern. So if you notice here by default, they have your basic channels here, your kick, your clap, your 808 hats, hi-hats, your snares, and then it has a new thing now called the flex bass. Okay, if you look to the left of here, all right, this green light right here represents basically your on and off switch. So any sounds that I have in this first channel right here, if this is not turned on, then you will not be able to hear it at all. Okay, so you want to make sure that stays on. There's no reason to really cut it off unless you just want to hear how something else may sound. Okay, if you come over here, this is your panning. And panning is just basically when you want to tell the channel that I want it to come more to the left side of the channel or the right side of the channel. But if it's centered, just like it is right now, that just means the sound comes on both sounds. Right here is your volume. By default, it's at 78 dBs. Okay, but you can adjust this however loud or however soft you want by just clicking it. And just like the metronome, if we scroll up, it's going to go up in volume. If you scroll down, it's going to go down in volume. Okay. If you notice this right here, these numbers next to this, and we'll get to this later on in a later lesson, but essentially these numbers tells us to send this specific track from our channel rack to our mixer. So channel 1 in our mixer, channel 2 in our mixer, channel 3 in our mixer, channel 4 in our mixer, channel 5. Okay. Now, if we come over here to the right here, notice that we have this green right here. This lets us know which channel is selected. All right. And to the right of this, these are called steps. These little gray and red, basically little buttons here, they're called steps. And in order to enable the steps, all you have to do is left click it with your mouse. Okay. Now you won't hear the sound as soon as you click it. It's just a step, right? It's just basically cutting this button right here at this point in time. This is where I want the sound to happen. That's basically all what a step is. So if I hit the play button, okay, you can hear the step right here. And in case you're like, oh, how do I time it? How do I time it? Pay attention to your step indicator, right? This is how fast it's going. And if that tempo is too fast for you, you can always adjust it. But I'm going to just do a quick little, a couple of steps to kind of get things going, right? Now, if you accidentally click on something and it doesn't sound correct, you can delete it by holding down Control on your Mac and just clicking. Okay? Or on your PC, right clicking. Okay? So it's just a real simple right here. All right? Then I can come down and I can add my claps. All right. And hi-hats, you can literally click on it. Nice, right? All right. And then I can add a snare with it too. Now this is your flex bass right here. All right, so let's say I like that. It sounds good. It's really good, okay? And what you could also do when you're creating drum patterns in your channel rack is you can create multiple different patterns. So for instance, right now, if you come over here, this is your pattern selector. Right here is just pattern 1. So I just want this to sound like this. Let's say I want to create an alternate drum pattern, so I don't want everything to sound the same. I can legit just click and hold this and scroll up to the next pattern, just like I did with the BPM and just like I did with the numbers to go to your mixer. Or I could simply just hit this plus sign right here that allows me to create a new pattern, okay? And if I hit that, it's the same thing. Now the difference is when I scroll up, it's just gonna by default be pattern 2. But if I hit the plus sign, it's gonna allow me to name what this may be. Now I can name it pattern 2, or I can name it alternate beat, whatever, okay? Ooh, Lord, I'm gonna spell today. All right. And the cool thing about this, anytime you rename something or you're creating a new label, if you will, you have multiple different options. You rename it. And if you hit this little selector right here, this is your color selector. So when we go to like rename and relabel tracks in the futures, you'll kind of already have a leg up. You click this and it's going to open up just a color wheel. And you can pick whatever color by just clicking on it. And once you do that, just hit accept. All right, it's going to bring you back to this screen. It's just going to make sure that you have everything and allows you time to edit it. If everything is good, you're just going to hit this check button right here. And if you look in our hint window, it says accept. Once you hit that, boom. And then you look into this window, which is our arrange window, and we'll get more in detail about that. And it creates another pattern here. You see you have done it successfully. And now I can create another beat. Now, another trick with hi-hats, in case I don't want to do a whole bunch of hi-hats. If you right click here on the channel, this will allow you to kind of fill in steps by a generic template. So I could click fill steps right here, and it allows me to automatically have it in instead of just like clicking each one. I can also change it to every 4 steps. And this doesn't just work for hi-hats. You can potentially do this on any channel that you would like. But I just, hi-hats kind of make a little bit more sense because sometimes the hi-hats happen more frequently. And you could do that. All right. And then snares. Okay. So you're like, what happened to my first beat? If you come back over here to your pattern selector, all you have to do is click on it, hold it, and drag it down, and it will take you back to your first pattern that you created. All right. Pretty simple, right? And that concludes it for lesson 1. Make sure you stay tuned for lesson 2, where we build the rhythm pattern and we go a little bit more at tweaking our pattern to make sure it sounds nice. All right. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like, that notification. Share this with somebody who's just getting into FL Studio. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Stay certified.